Right. The Democratic Alliance has been in the Pretoria High Court today over the National Energy Regulator's 30% hike in electricity over 2 years. To be precise, it's granted a 31.4% hike. The party wants the court to force both NERSA and Eskom to scrap the increase, saying it's an injustice to the people of South Africa. It also wants load shedding to be declared unconstitutional, among other things. We're joined by the Democratic Alliance's Federal Council chairperson, Helen Zille. Helen, good evening. Thanks for your time. I think if we can start firstly on the issue of constitutionality and these, the state of electricity in this country. We, of course, already have a North Gauteng High Court ruling in that regard. Yes, it was specifically dealing with load shedding, but very much recognizing that the status of the electricity supply situation in the country is an infringement of people's human rights. So how different is what you are asking to what is already on the court record?
It's substantially different, Kathy. What we are seeking from the court ultimately is the appointment of what is called a special master. Now, once a special master is appointed by the court, that is an expert who has real in-depth knowledge of the electricity sector, the generation sector, and would be able to, on behalf of the court, monitor, regulate, ask a lot of questions, and report back to the court on the implementation of the Energy Action Plan, which currently up till now has not been implemented properly. We don't get any factual and objective information. We get smoke and mirrors from the Minister, Kgotsienso Ramakgopa, and we are in a situation where we are none the wiser. We keep on getting promises year after year. Even 10 years ago, now President Ramaphosa promised that soon load shedding would be a thing of the past. We're now at stage 6 in many parts of the country, and we aren't getting information, and we don't even know if the Energy Action Plan is going to produce any results at all. So just as has been the case in previous instances in the court where the state has fundamentally failed to protect people's constitutional rights, as it has failed to do in this instance, previously they did it with the failure to pay SASSA grants, also the failure to process land reform claims. The court has, in those instances, appointed a special master to take that responsibility of analyzing, of monitoring, of evaluating, and of reporting. And that is one of the key things we want out of this court action.
Of course, what happened, in the SASSA example that you've given, there were very clear timelines which assisted in terms of resolving the issue. The land claims question, however, has had a completely different outcome. And I wonder then why you think it would be different on the issue of electricity, and where does the role of Parliament come in here? Because it sounds to me that you're seeking greater accountability. Surely Parliament should also be one of the places where you go.
Indeed, Parliament is one of the places, and a lot of people get interrogated in Parliament. But what happens there is that we get the information from the Minister and from other officials. And what we want is a totally independent person who is an expert in the field to tell the public what they need to know. At the moment, we don't have accurate, reliable, and trustworthy information. We don't have somebody monitoring the situation, evaluating
So basically, you're saying that you believe that whatever government is saying about the power situation right now cannot be trusted. Now, the independent person that you want to be in charge of this process, they're also going to, by and large, rely on similar information that Eskom is providing, that the minister is providing. So how do you circumvent that process, really, to get to this information that you believe would be more reliable?
Not necessarily at all, because a person like that has powers. They can call for papers, they can monitor things, they can get the information directly, they can inspect things. They've got enormous powers. And that is what we're wanting, because when the government fundamentally fails to protect people's constitutional rights and give accurate information. And I'm not just surmising that the government has got false information or is giving us wrong information. You just have to go back on all the government's statements around resolving the electricity crisis over the last 10 years. In fact, further back, up till the point that they gave us wrong information about the bolt in the Kuburg generator. Right back then, that was 2006, we only ever get false information. And on that basis, people can't plan, they can't strategize. We don't even know if Eskom is fixable. Our informed guess is that it isn't, and it's in a death spiral. But the government keeps on saying, well, no, it isn't. We're going to fix this, and we've got this great plan. We don't think that's true. And if that is not true, then we better make other plans, and we will not be able to do that unless we have accurate information.
Let's go to the issue of the hike itself, because you're basically saying that that process needs to be reopened. You don't believe that the public contribution process was actually a fair one that was undertaken. And, of course, I think, the irony has been highlighted, Helen, that you're contesting NERSA on the one front. On the other, of course, NERSA has sort of also chastised what is happening in the city of Cape Town around tariff increases there.
Well, that's rich coming from NERSA, because they impose the tariff increases and the city can't absorb everything. And the city has to supply electricity and cannot avoid the increases from NERSA. So if we successfully challenge NERSA, then of course the city will be able to pass that advantage onto its consumers as well.
The point is that, Helen, on one hand, the DA says, well, we're fighting for the rights of, South Africans who are facing unemployment and really dire economic situations. So NERSA can't effect these increases. On the other hand, it is your councillors that have approved an increase above what is the limit that NERSA has provided for municipalities.
The bottom line here is that if NERSA didn't put a 31.4% increase on electricity, which the city of Cape Town cannot absorb, they sell on the electricity they buy at the NERSA price to the public. The root cause of that problem is the NERSA price increase, which is 6 times higher than the inflation rate. 6 times higher than the inflation rate, without taking into account public participation at the stage of the multi-year price determination, which is the point at which they should have done public participation to test the affordability of this price increase. Do
you understand why people are speaking about the hypocrisy of the situation?
No, I don't. I don't understand that at all. Because if you go and if you have to buy a product that you have to on-sell, and somebody raises the price of the product that you have to buy by 31.4%, you will collapse if you don't retrieve that from the consumer. You have to. If NERSA agrees on a price increase and you have to pay 31.4% extra for the electricity, how's Cape Town going to survive if it does not pass that increase on? So the solution to that problem is to get the price increase reduced.
All right. Helen, unfortunately, we're completely out of time. I wish I could engage you further on this issue that is the DA's Helen Zille.